Welcome back, fellow gamers. In today's video we are going over one of my chapter 3 decks. This is an Amber Amethyst build, so let's jump right into the 1-drops. Okay, so to start things off, we're running 4 copies of Pluto Friendly Pooch. This is a great new addition to Amber, and it kind of plays similarly to Dock. However, instead of questing, it's whenever you tap this card, which is unfortunate because Dock has that instant payoff where you get to quest for 2, and then you get to also get its ability, which is you pay one less for the next character you play this turn. However, Pluto's still good for a 1-drop. It's uninkable, and you get to play a card 1 less this turn. We are going to run 4 of these in this deck. The next card up for 1-drops is Chernabog's Followers. This is a great new addition as well for Amethyst. This card reads, whenever this character quests, you may banish them to draw a card. Now, I'm running a lot of low-cost cards in this deck, as you will see, and I felt like this fit in pretty well. Especially, it'll help me get a little bit of draw early on before I can get Rockstar Stitch out. And we are running 4 copies as well. Okay, so as we are running 4 copies of Rockstar Stitch, which you will see later on, we're going to be running 4 copies of Stitch New Dog as well. Alright, and next up we have 2 copies of Cinderella. Cinderella is a great card, especially for a 1-drop. It fits into this deck well, and as we're playing Amethyst, this is mostly in the deck just so we can turn 1 Cinderella, turn 2 Friends on the other side, and get the draw advantage going. So that will be it for our 1-drops. Alright, and to start things off for our 2-drops, we have Dalmatian Puppy. Now this is the card I particularly built this deck around. I thought this new ability was great. For those of you who have played Magic the Gathering, it reminds us of Rat Colony, which is also a great card. And it plays very similarly to Dalmatian Puppies. It has the same effect, pretty much. So I like this card and I wanted to build this deck around it. So for that reason, we're running 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 copies of Dalmatian Puppy. Next up, we are currently running 4 copies of Wendy Darling. Wendy Darling is a great card. It's a 2-drop vanilla that quests for 2. However, it does have 3 willpower, which is great. It's going to be harder to kill, and it's not going to get board wiped automatically by cards like Grab Your Swords. So that's why it's in this deck. I was going to run Piglet, however I don't like the fact that Piglet has 2 willpower and can easily be board wiped. So I like to have Wendy Darling, as it's just a lot of early game pressure on your opponent. We are running 4 copies. Alright, next up we have 4 copies of Cusco Wanted Llama. Whenever this character is banished, you may draw a card. So this is just a lot of early pressure as well. Although it doesn't quest for 2 like Wendy Darling, your opponent really has to think twice about whether it wants to get rid of this card and give you draw advantage. Plus it's a king, which will matter later on. We're running 4 copies. And then to finish things off, we're running 2 copies of Simba Protective Cub. This is a staple for any Amber deck pretty much, and it's also going to come in handy later on for Pride Lands. Now to start off our 3-drops, we are running 2 copies of Pongo Determined Father. This is a great card to help us top deck a little bit, and its ability reads, once per turn you may pay 2 ink to reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a creature, put it into your hand, otherwise put it at the bottom of your deck. As the vast majority of this deck is creatures, you're more than likely going to be drawing a creature, or the top card of your deck will be a creature. So this will help you top deck and get advantage. We're running 2 copies. Next up, as we mentioned before, this will combo good with Pluto. We are running 4 copies of Dock. Now, a great play, you can turn 1 Pluto if Pluto is around still. You can turn 2 into Dock, and then you can just get the snowball going and play cards for incredibly cheap. And this thing quests for 2, has a 3 willpower, so it's not easily killed. So it's a lot of early game pressure as well. Just a staple for any Amber deck. We are running 4 copies. Now, For our 4 drops, we are running 4 copies of Lucky, the 15th Puppy. Now, in my personal opinion, this is the best card that Amber got in this set. So it does 2 different things here. You can tap it and reveal the top 3 cards of your deck. You may put each character card that costs 2 or less into your hand, put the rest at the bottom of your deck. Now, as the vast majority of this deck is 2 or less, this card is a huge card. It's almost as necessary as Rockstar Stitches, and that's why it's in the deck. Plus, it also has the ability Puppy Love, which reads, when this character quests, if you have 4 or more other characters in play, your other characters get +1 lore this turn. Now, if you combo this with 99 puppies, you can pretty much end the game on the turn that you quest this card. Especially with the vast majority of the deck being 2 or less, you can have ample cards out on the field at the same time. So this card gives you a huge advantage. And that's why we're running 4 copies of it. Now, as I mentioned before, this deck obviously has to have Stitch Rockstar. Now, this is an essential piece of this deck, as it really helps you snowball, especially if you can get this shifted out for 4 early on in the game. This really helps you snowball the game into your advantage real quick, real fast, as you could flood the board almost immediately. And we're running 4 copies. Now, this is also a great new card. This is Pluto Determined Defender. It has Shift 5, so we can play it on top of our Pluto if that's still around. Unlikely, but it happens. It has Bodyguard, and it has Guard Dog, which reads, at the start of your turn, remove up to 3 damage from this character. Now, that's huge. This thing can clear your opponent's cards and then heal itself on the following turn, so that's pretty great. And we're running 4 copies of that. And last but not least, for our characters, we are running Chernabog, Evildoer. This is a great new card. This, although it does sound expensive for a 10-drop uninkable card, it can be played substantially earlier on, especially with how fast your opponent are going to be taking out your characters, which is common if you're playing aggro. You know your opponent's going to take out your characters, or board wipe you. So having Chernabog in your pocket is going to be great, as for each character card in your discard, you may pay 1 less to play this character. Now, I've been playing on Pixelborn, and I've been getting this card out for 3 cost, 4 cost, even lower. So don't be scared of the 10-drop. You get to play it substantially earlier on than that. And then whenever you play this character, shuffle all character cards from your discard into your deck. So you just get to put everything back into your deck, and that's a great new addition as well. We are running 2 copies of Chernabog. Alright, so to really take advantage of Cusco and Simba in this deck, as they are kings and princes, we're going to be running 2 copies of Pride Lands. Now, I may actually increase this to 4 copies, however, I'm going to keep it at 2 for now. This card reads, characters get +2 willpower while here. If you have a prince or king character here, you may pay 1 less to play characters, and this gives you 1 lore every turn. Now, as you can see, there's a trend going on in this deck with Pluto, Dock, and now Pride Lands. The goal is to get cards out as early as possible. I guess Chernabog falls into that category as well, as that thing comes out early as well. But the main goal of this deck is to get cards out as early as possible and for the least cost as possible. And Pride Lands, Dock, and Pluto help you get that done. And of course, with this being an Amber Amethyst deck, we have to be running Friends on the Other Side, which is still one of the best Amethyst cards we have. This card can sing, and it helps you draw 2 cards early on in the game. As I mentioned before, you can turn 1 Cinderella, turn 2 Friends on the Other Side, and really get the advantage going in your favor. And we're going to be running 4 copies of that. And as I mentioned before, we're also running 2 copies of 99 Puppies. This is a 5-drop that reads, whenever one of your characters quests this turn, gain 1 lore. If you combo this off with Lucky, you can pretty much end the game on that turn, if you play your cards right. As always, feel free to share your thoughts on this particular deck in the comment section below. Let me know how you'd improve it by telling me what you'd take out, what you'd put in. But with that being said, on to the next video.